So, spoiler alert, it's a C minus at best. Today, I'm looking at Gemini's answer to how to implement OKRs in companies, which of course is trained on what is written and trusted in Google on the topic. So this has got to be good and spot on and correct, right? So what are you actually being told? Let me read this to you. Implementing OKRs, objectives and key results, involves setting 3 to 5 ambitious qualitative goals, objectives, and 3 to 5 measurable outcomes, key results, per objective, aligned top-down and bottom-up and reviewed quarterly. Key steps include defining strategic company goals, training teams, using dedicated tools for tracking, and holding regular check-ins. So before I get stuck into this, calling bullshit on much of it, I want you to know that I will share some free resources that will help you not only use OKRs better, but also build a healthier, more profitable, market-leading company at the end of this video. Let's go. So let's start with the first sentence. Ambition is a really misleading phrase, and it's a rule that makes OKRs seem so unnecessarily complex. Let me explain why. If we see OKRs as a strategy execution framework, we should not get hung up on OKRs having rules like ambition. We should instead learn and obsess over strategy best practices. Sure, we have concepts like BHAGs, which are big, hairy, audacious goals. And the academic research proves that there are indeed psychological and performance benefits to dialing in some ambition. But it's when and how much to do that. And it's an answer that's not as simple as we want. There are reasons why strategy experts like Roger Martin and Richard Rummelt never talk about this ambition concept. It's because strategy is the argument for why a specific customer will choose you and the choices that will make that argument true. Your strategic OKRs, by this definition, would also be the manifestation of that. How you get there is by creating a strategy and doing the work. Defining a winning aspiration, for example, being explicit about where to play and how to win, the choices that you're going to make, the capabilities needed, and the management system, which of course includes observable measures of success. But these objectives and key results do not necessarily need dialed-in ambition. What they do need is precision, logic, honesty, and a willingness to adapt to what changes between quarters. So let's assume you've created a great strategy, and most people haven't, by the way. The strategic OKRs you're being told to create should not only include the qualitative goals and 3 to 5 measured outcomes as stated. Honestly, that would be a strategic comms failure because you won't understand the strategy from that. OKRs done well serve as strategic comms as well as that strategic GPS. And if you only had what you're being told to create to go on, any OKRs that align with them will be much worse, along with any urgency and energy that you were hoping for. What's worse is that in creating these OKRs, you're setting a standard for everything that follows. Okay, what's next? Using top-down strategy and bottom-up alignment via OKRs. So this is the essence of the advice. Present your company's OKRs to the org and invite teams to link their team OKRs to one of the OKRs above. It's not that there is no value to this. It makes sense to have teams aware of the company's goals, and setting goals in teams is a good idea with one condition attached. The OKRs are indeed good OKRs and not a mixed laundry list of what we're going to do anyway, BAU metrics and bullshit metrics. The issue is this. Genuinely good strategic OKRs nearly always require a cross-functional team to execute them, not a single org chart team. So now you're probably thinking, that's okay. You can just tell the org chart teams to play nicely and collaborate. Your talented people, of course, are committed and will be able to prioritize strategic progress and team health. And the individuals in those teams will be able to switch seamlessly between multiple priorities. But guess what? Most won't and can't and it's not fair to the people charged with making strategic progress. It's also the slowest, rockiest path to strategic progress, the thing that is meant to increase your competitiveness by making customers choose you, increase market share, revenue, and profitability. So why would you choose to do that? Yet most company OKR implementations do just that. They then share beliefs like, yeah, we tried OKRs, but they didn't make much difference. No shit. The better approach requires you to know more about how to stand up and stand down dedicated or near dedicated, persistent teams around OKRs that can roll and adapt between quarters. Something that, with very few exceptions, is not part of most OKR advice. Okay, so what's the next advice? Start with a pilot. The concept of a pilot is great if you think you're testing some unique high-risk framework that has a good chance of failure. And doing OKRs in the way most people learn can feel a bit like that. But what I want you to do is take a step back. Do we need to pilot the idea of good strategy, strategic comms, working towards outcomes that show us that we're making strategic progress, having teams understand where we're going, and have the opportunity themselves to contribute? Of course we don't. You don't pilot strategy execution. So what do you think you're piloting? It's your ability to do strategy, communicate it, get people excited by it, measure the right things, execute, experiment, learn, and adapt. The acronym and the framework are not really the things that you're piloting. So what's next? Phase the implementation if the org is large. Well, this is a great idea, and there are ways to do that for sure. But we're not heading towards a go, no-go decision on OKRs. Because if you get this right, I could insert one of many goal frameworks in the middle. I also think it's worth talking about the org chart at this point, because this AI result talks about allowing teams to align. By their nature, some teams will participate in strategic OKRs more than others. So think product, engineering, customer, and go-to-market teams. There are others who need to support strategic OKRs, like HR for hiring plans, capability and skill development, and untangling and optimization of incentives and bonuses. There are others that will always be more operational, teams like legal, for example. There's also a difference between strategy and operational excellence. One gives you a long-term, market-leading advantage. The other drives revenue, and any advantage is more temporal. Doing marketing, sales, recruitment, or another BAU process better or even excellently is, of course, highly desirable, but it needs to be approached differently. Okay, what else have we got here? Establish regular check-ins. Review progress quarterly or more frequently, weekly, monthly, to ensure alignment and adjust strategies. Absolutely. Adaptive strategy, short learning loops are getting to the heart of what OKRs can do if allowed. The best proxy for whether you're allowing to do this is the frequency and quality of your check-ins. If you have nothing to talk about other than a quick update every week, you've done something wrong. If you could have had that meeting via Slack, the same. Okay, what's next? Use technology tools. Leverage digital OKR software to increase transparency, track progress in real time, and facilitate collaboration. Tools do not make you good at OKRs. Defining what the framework is for and what it is not, building aligned capabilities like measurement, experimentation, this absolutely does. Tools can make updates easier. Comms can be smoother, processes can be guided, and in the case of the tools that we use and recommend, AI can be used to coach. But we'd only ever let you use tools after we've worked with you without technology getting in the way. Software can make you worse or better at OKRs, and the former is more likely if you do not develop the muscles that you need first, and then configure the tools to do the actual job needed later, which is absolutely not a shiny, multi-layered visual cascade of OKRs. So what's last? Run a retrospective. Conduct a review at the end of each cycle to score results between 0 and 1 and learn from what did or did not work. So this is so close to good advice. But alas, it's not. Learning is a pillar of high performance for sure, but speed of learning is even better than learning. As for grading, what are you actually grading? The progress, with a zero point 0.7 or more being good? That's actually a bad idea, and this is why. What about the value you created and what you learned? Where does that fit in? What if you proved a core strategic hypothesis and made low progress, or created a killer algorithm that's going to be the gift that keeps giving for years? Where does that get reported and recognized in a decimal scale? Reducing OKRs to a decimal is nonsensical and make teams hate them, game them, and stops them from being and doing what you really need them to do. So the biggest problem I have with this and similar advice is that it's credible enough to be believed and of some obvious value, especially when it's Google feeding it to you. Yet it's so dangerously basic. What's worse is that it has become the default how-to blueprint. Sure, my team and I benefit from helping teams get it right second time, but we'd rather the framework that we love is used correctly first time and has better PR than it has. Because OKRs are never the problem. The implementation always is if it has not been planned well. To help, I've done a video on what better looks like. And we're here to help you if you want to use OKRs to build strategic advantage as well as operational excellence, which is what drives revenue and faster growth. If you're a business owner, founder, or CEO watching this and wanting to learn from CEOs that have become category and market leaders, and you want to build high-performing capabilities alongside your peers, I'm inviting you to join our leader community at zockery.com. And lastly, follow us if you want to learn not only more about how to use OKRs well, but how to build the adjacent capabilities that are the hallmark of high performance in the workplace. Have a great day.